Hello and welcome to High Traffic Ideas. I'm your host, Ronnie West from the Gale Force Studios. I'm the owner of Eye Magnet, and I've got somebody who looks pretty familiar if you guys have watched Marketing Mondays. I am joined by Patric Fransko, the founder of Eye Magnet and Window Film Pros. I want to say thank you, Pat, for being my first guest on the new podcast.
I'm happy to be here, man. Thanks for having me.
And so we've had a big talk. We've talked a lot about a lot of different things over the last few years, and obviously even before the show, kind of covering a bunch of different topics. If you are in the window film industry, one of the things I just want to make sure that we highlight is your Window Film Pros website. I think that's one of those things that a lot of people who, one, if they haven't heard about it, kind of give them kind of an idea, overview of what you guys offer and the benefits of being a part of the Window Film Pros network.
Sure. So I started with, obviously, Window Film Pros. Some people get confused because there's a group in the window film industry that has been around for almost 15 years now. And then about eight years ago, I started a page for since I've been in the window film industry, a lot of people have said, hey, there's a lot of good information coming from manufacturers, things like that. But a lot of the information is targeted at people that are installers, like people that are already in the industry, or it's very highly branded. So it doesn't feel like information. It feels more like an advertorial. So I started Window Film Pros as a way to create non-branded educational information to raise consumer awareness about what window film does. Along the way, we created a Window Film Pro dealer locator on the site. And there's a couple advantages to doing that. I always say to people, they're like, well, how many leads am I going to get per year? And I'm always like, that's one, it's impossible for me to know exactly. All we can do is drive people to the website. And then if they go to find a Window Film Pro and they're in your area, they're going to get exposed to your brand. Probably the most important thing of that is we have a backlink in that listing back to your website. And if you understand SEO, Google has, because we've generated so much content over the last number of years, considers Window Film Pros an authoritative site in the window film industry. So the fact that an authoritative site in the industry has a backlink back to your website for your company actually helps your SEO rating. It helps improve the SEO on your site. I tried to keep the cost of these listings extremely inexpensive so that just the SEO bump in and of itself is worth the price. It's $69.95 per year for the program. So that's $5 something, $5 something a day or a month. And again, a lot of people that are doing Google ads and other things know that, $5 isn't even a good budget for a day on Google. So I tried to make it so that you're going to get some SEO, an SEO bump from the listing. You may get leads that come from the website as well, but also keep the price so inexpensive that it's kind of a no-brainer.
Yeah, at least going back to the group, I think that's one of those things where, like you mentioned, non-branded, there's a bunch of moderators from a bunch of different brands. But one of the things, especially when we've been at WFCT, that whenever we're talking about it, for a lot of new window tinters and installers, it's a great resource for them to kind of, if they have questions about specific cars or specific windows that are tricky, you've got this massive network of different people who have that experience that can go in and kind of explain different things. And so that's where I think just in itself, just being a part of that group is a lot of value for a lot of different customers.
Yeah. And the group has been, it's the first group in the window film industry that was on social media. It actually started on LinkedIn first, believe it or not, when Facebook was still like a college student type thing. And then we moved it over to Facebook, and it's still a very active group. One of the metrics I'm most proud of in the group is I think we have like 11,000 something members. But if you take a previous 60-day swatch, like typically between 7,000 and 8,000 people of the group have been active within the last 60 days, which again, it's one thing to build a group and get a lot of members and make the numbers look good, but how many of those people are actually actively participating in the group? So to me, to have 11,000 something members, but have 7,000 to 8,000 that are still within a 60-day period in some way, shape, or form active, I really like that because it means that it's a vibrant group. People are actually participating.
No, absolutely. And then going back to the website now, I know obviously, like you mentioned, having the dealer locator, I think that helps with a lot of local searches that's kind of come up if people are trying to find installers that are in their area. But you do some articles and some news that kind of, like you mentioned, obviously we're both here. You can see it says Eye Magnet, like we're a marketing company. And that always helps with SEO. So what have you kind of noticed with some of the things as far as the articles and the different things that kind of bring knowledge to anybody that might have a question about different things, and then in turn kind of helps them find those dealers in their area?
Sure. I mean, the articles or the blogs, however you want to refer to them, are nice because you can actually take topics that are happening out there or problems that people are having, and you can write a piece of content specific to that. So when somebody's searching for that particular thing online, or if they have a question about something, there's a good chance your blog can come up. The reason that even if you're not part of the group, you can always go to Window Film Pros. You can share those articles, things like that, use them for inspiration. That doesn't bother me. But I think the idea is to put yourself in the seat of the consumer and figure out what the consumer might be searching for. And it might not even be window film. They may be searching for a solution for a problem that window film is a good solution for. And you need to create an article that answers the question that they have of what will help me solve this, and then inject the fact of how window film will help them. So it's not, I know you're a fan of Gary Vee, and he wrote a book many years ago called Jab, 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 Right Hook, which is like, you don't come in with, hey, buy window film. You come in with, hey, I have this problem. Hey, here's how window film can help solve it. It's a process of like a lot of little like jabs of just helping people out, pointing them towards window film. And then at some point in time, maybe they make the decision to contact a local window film pro or things like that. It's definitely more of a long game. It's not a short game. It's not something you're going to do today and reap results of tomorrow. It's continuing to create content, continuing to SEO that content. Part of what we do is create new content. Part of what we do is go back and update old content because we've been doing it so long now that some of the content we created 7 years ago is due for a renew and a refresh. So, but that's what we try to do with the group is, be a good resource for the industry, and also be something where if a consumer comes onto our website, they don't feel like they're being sold per se, because nowhere on our website are we collecting a lead. We list the dealers, all the phone calls, all the emails, everything goes straight to the dealers. We're not trying to collect a lead and then charge the dealer for it or anything like that. We completely are non-confrontational with regard to the client. We're not trying to get them to fill out a form or this or that.
No, that's great. And I kind of stick with those the blog topics or the articles, I think is important for any shop that has a website. At least for me, you kind of highlighted something. I was at the CoolView conference and you basically said something that I mentioned during that presentation that I had was, I think the key to a lot of different blog articles, and anytime someone is searching, is using that blog in a way to help them identify a problem and kind of explain the solution. And I think a lot of times that can be something extremely helpful for a lot of the tint shops, whether it's talking about rush hour glare from driving into the sun at west at night or east in the morning, or just different things, whether it's protection from skin cancer and all the different things, whether it's automotive or the benefits of safety film for flat glass or the decorative film, and kind of having some sort of privacy. I think explaining those problems and I've mentioned before and kind of used the term and stole it from somebody was like the blogs are almost like a lobster trap that you're kind of setting out. It's not something that's going to instantly get you the action. You're not going to put the lobster trap down and pull it right back up and be full. It's one of those things where you're going to kind of hopefully let that work its way through the SEO process and kind of show up and help your organic SEO in a way where if you keep compiling multiple blog posts, whether they're explaining a problem and you have a solution to it, or kind of identifying the very specific job and kind of highlighting those things, I think the more and more that you add those on top of each other is something that long term can benefit you, as well as then when you have other ad spend and different things, it's not one or the other. I think they kind of work together. Is that something that you've definitely noticed along the way with the different articles and stuff that you've posted?
Yeah, and I do think that is something we've noticed with regard to the lobster trap, but I do feel like we stumbled across something with Window Film Pros this last year that we've really started to do more of. There's something on Google called Google Discover, and I know you're familiar with it, but it was something that we knew that was out there, but we've now taken a lot more attention to how we write articles and trying to write articles in such a way to get picked up by Google Discover. And Google Discover is out there trying to take certain pieces of the internet and shine a spotlight on them because they find them helpful or whatever. Well, the way we came across this is probably 6 to 8 months ago. We created an article on Window Film Pros, and we get a decent amount of traffic every day on Window Film Pros. But all of a sudden, within a 48-hour period, we got 50,000 visits to the website within 2 days. And I was like, okay, what in the world happened? And, looking at the metrics, it was all focused in. A lot of it was focused in on one article. And then I started to do more digging, and I realized that article got picked up by Google Discover. So for a period of a couple days, Google Discover shined a spotlight on that article, and the traffic to the website went through the moon. So after that, a lot of our game has been like, okay, how do we not only write an article that's properly SEO'd, but if possible, let's try to get it picked up by Google Discover, because we just see how that just completely explodes the traffic on the website. So I do think there's that lobster trap mentality of the typical article that you do. And I think occasionally, you do have one of those things that gets picked up and all of a sudden traffic just goes through the roof. And, that's one thing that I don't ever really encourage people to copy and paste really with AI, but AI is pretty smart. I think we would all agree. And a lot of times what I'll do is I'll write an article, and then I'll take that article, I will submit it to ChatGPT, Gemini, whichever your favorite AI source is, and I will ask it, how could I modify this article to increase the possibility that I get picked up by Google Discover? Because they understand what Google Discover is looking for, and they can, sometimes it's just sentence structure, sometimes it's the way the whole paragraph is structured or the whole article is structured. So it's essentially saying the same thing that I wrote in the article, but just structuring it in a way that creates a greater potential that it gets picked up by Google Discover. So I think that's where I feel like AI is a great tool, that it's like, it's not going to do, I don't feel like AI is at a point where that's going to completely do the work for you. But I think there's ways you can use AI tools to really help you potentially take the work that you're already doing and help it be much more effective.
No, I was about to lead into AI stuff as far as creating different things and creating blogs. Obviously, you used to write out all kinds of stuff, and now with AI, it definitely has shrink that process down. But I think the thing to kind of highlight and make sure, like you mentioned, is not just the copy paste, but also to kind of proofread, make sure everything makes sense. We've talked about AI hallucinations in the past with different platforms and different things like that. I guess what I'm getting to, and my question is there aside from just kind of highlighting Google Discover or other things, how important is that prompt that you're putting together in order to create that? And are you kind of saving those conversations and coming back so that the AI is able to learn what you like and what you're looking for? At least for me, I've noticed, especially on the back end, I now ask for like an SEO package. So it gives me like the SEO title, the keyword, the hashtags and the meta description and all of that stuff. What kind of, in a nutshell, is your process when kind of creating that prompt?
So you're talking about the prompt you use when you're
With AI,
discussion with AI. Got it. I think it's critical. I think that's the whole game with AI. I think the better you get at at asking AI the question or prompting AI, the better results you're going to get. I think a lot of people don't understand that you can go through a process of educating AI about who you are, the typical type of language that you use, things like that. And then AI continues to get smarter and smarter and better the more that it knows about you. A lot of times people go into AI and they just want to, maybe they don't even log into AI. They just go into the non-logged in version and ask a question. And that's how they use AI, not realizing that you can go in and really, you could literally like set the entire stage for AI, give a backstory, everything like that. So I can tell AI what Window Film Pros is, what the objective of Window Film Pros is, what we're trying to accomplish with Window Film Pros, what success looks like with Window Film Pros, what we don't want to do with Window Film. Before I ever ask it the first thing about helping me with an article, I basically educated AI. Hey, I'm trying to get the most amount of traffic to raise consumer awareness for, and then I'm basically telling AI all these things so that when AI begins to help me with certain things, they already understand how I'm doing it. Another page that I help out is a page called Chagrin Within. And I was kind of interested. It was kind of surprising to me that just recently I didn't even prompt it that way. I was just asking it a couple questions about some history for this page. And it said, do you want me to make this page do you want me to make this answer in the nature of a Chagrin Within post? Like it basically knows like, hey, this is what Chagrin Within content looks like. Do you want me to then, help you, do you want me to create because I was asking it some historical things about a particular building in a particular town. And it was giving me some of the history about when that building was built, when it burned down, things like that. And then it was like, do you want me to summarize this in a way that Chagrin Within might want to post it? So to your point, in a nutshell, I think one, you need to create an account with whichever your AI of choice is going to be. You need to create a dialogue with it so that it learns about what you're trying to achieve, learns about your company, learns about who your customers are. You can tell it everything. You can literally say, my customers are normally between 18 and 36. Most of them are male. You could sit there and tell ChatGPT everything that you currently know about your business, and that's going to make it smarter to help you, to give you better answers or to give you better content when you come out. A lot of times I have an idea of what I want to write in a social media post, and I will go into like ChatGPT or one of the other programs, and I will say, I want to create a social media post that says this, but can you help me make it more engaging and make it such that people will be more likely to interact with the post? And I let ChatGPT spit out 4 different options of what that might look like. And then I might use that. So again, to your point about proofreading and everything, that's an obvious that anybody has to do. But I think what I like to do, I look at ChatGPT or Gemini or Grok as like a room full of other contemporaries, to where I could say, hey, I want to do a social media post that basically has this information. You guys got any ideas of how to make it better? And then they come back and tell me, well, what about this? What about this? And then it helps me actually fine tune and do better work myself. So again, I think AI is not going anywhere. And I think the people that learn how to use AI, how to prompt AI, how to make them more efficient are going to be the ones that win the AI game. Now, clearly AI is not going to come into your shop and install window film or go out and install window film. But with regard to helping you have more productive social media posts or things like that, I think there's a definite role there. And again, a roundabout way to get back to the answer of your question, I think, the more you can educate AI, whichever platform you're using on, to what the nature of your business is, it starts to understand your voice, like how you want posting. And then it begins to get better and better and better the more you use it. But if all you do is go into the non-logged in version and occasionally ask it a question, whatever, you're going to get very generic responses because it doesn't really know anything about you or your company or what you're trying to achieve.
No, absolutely. I was looking at, because I did a prompt assistance thing. If you go to the Eye Magnet page, it's pinned at the top, and it kind of similar to what you just said of try to elongate and kind of create this whole narrative of like what you want that AI to be. Are you a social media expert? Are you a chef? Are you a mechanic? And if you have like car troubles, and then you kind of, there's different pieces to that prompt that you're kind of putting together. And at least the thing that I would say is, if you're like me and you're not a big typer, it's funny because I just saw Gary Vee talk about how he did like a 45-minute prompt. With all of these AIs, you can just hit that microphone button and just start talking and just explain the situation or whatever your issue is, instead of thinking like, I got to come up and type out this creative kind of prompt. When you can ramble and kind of it'll have a conversation with you. There's a couple, at least for me, I use Claude a lot. And it'll be like a back and forth. There's an AI voice that talks back to you, or you can just have the voice recorder going and it just explain everything that you're trying to get across, which to me, that is super helpful. If one, at least for me, I'm good at talking on the top of my toes, I guess. But at least for me, when I try to type something out, I kind of sometimes get that writer's log jam, and I don't exactly know what I want to say typing wise, but for whatever reason, I can say it. So I think that's something to make sure that you're utilizing and being aware that you can just kind of talk to the AI and get those things across.
I think once you start my encouragement with anybody that's listening to this would be is if you're not using AI regularly, get in the habit of using it regularly. And it doesn't even have to be for work. Good example is, I just wanted to see where my wife and I were on the financial journey towards retirement, if you will, or whatever. So I sat down one day and I basically just fed in, this is what we have in savings. This is what Social Security is saying we're going to get once we're in our 60s. This is the time frame, our expected life. This is like, put in all the different variables you can think of, and then say, what is, give me a picture of what, that retirement picture might look like if I stay on the same track that I am right now, if I back off the track that I am right now, if I boost the track that I am right now. And then the other thing you can do is say, okay, now like, hard test it with something they call Monte Carlo simulation. Like say, okay, run this portfolio through 1,000 different scenarios of the stock market and things like that, based on historical things. Run it through 1,000 different scenarios, good, bad, middle, whatever, and tell me what the probability of success of this plan is based on 1,000 scenarios. Those are things, like I said, I mean, it's incredible once you start nosing around with AI, all the different things that it can do. And to be honest with you, it's scary. Like, if I was a financial planner, I might be like, oh man, this thing's going to take my job. All somebody's got to do is put in all the inputs. And it's going to I mean, those are things that you used to probably have to sit down with a financial planner, give him all the data, give him a couple weeks, and he's probably going to charge you several $100s to come back to you with, a state of the state of your retirement plan. Now that can happen in 10 minutes on AI.
Well, it's funny too, because I've had the same kind of things where I'm trying to find out, like, how do I get this mic to connect to the computer? And it walks me through different things. I've had a lot of friends reach out about what AI to use to build my resume, to kind of tweak these photos. So there's definitely not just like, obviously we're talking about marketing, and anybody that's watching, I'm sure you realize AI is all encompassing for the most part. But I'm worried for a lot of things that it's used in too simple of a manner. Like, does it match this or does this? Like, use the AI to kind of make your life better, make things easier, more efficient. Like, how can you, like you mentioned before, like make more money just having better ideas and scenarios? I after listening to your podcast with Robbie, I went in and was like, all right, how do I do all of this stuff with Fidelity? How do I set up like an auto payment where I'm not thinking about it and I'm not actively trying to trade? It's there in the background doing it for me. So there's so many different things with AI that, like you said, if you're avoiding it, ignoring it, I beg you to at least dabble in it a little bit. Like, thankfully, my wife has been one where she's using a lot with video or photo editing, and always is like, which one should I look into for this? Or just tweaking stuff. We took a bunch of pictures with if you watch Bluey, a Bob Bilby, like a take-home kind of stuffed animal for my son, and we did a bunch of different stuff. So there's lots of different entry points, whether it's you're trying to, like, we do a lot of different cool graphics for my son of like using, whether it's Runway ML to kind of turn those things into videos, or there is so much. I think I put out and leave a comment at the beginning of the year, my like AI software guide, because now I think last year I did it, there was maybe 30. This year it was like 60 or 70 programs. And I know it's going to be even more next year.
Well, it's, I think again, I don't know exactly what it's going to look like 18 months, 2 years, 5 years from now. I know for a fact it's not going to go away. And it's only going to continue to get better. So I think the sooner you can get on the train of using it, the better you're going to be able to understand it and how it can help your, we're primarily a lot talking about businesses, how it can help your business. There's so many things that you can use it for, even in running your business, as far as like, hey, create a spreadsheet about this. Or I know you and I talked about even utilizing it within the confines of QuickBooks to do like data analysis and things like that, it's capable of doing so many things that help you run, your business more efficiently and things like that, that I think, you'd be crazy not to use it. And I think, like I said, I think in just the last 6 months, it's gotten way better.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I think it's gotten way better. Like, we talked probably 6 months ago about AI hallucinations and things like that. I don't see many AI hallucinations anymore. I mean, they've gotten fewer and fewer, and there's times like I said, I ask it a lot of times too. Like, we used to have to do a lot of research to be like, okay, what are the best hashtags to use in a post? What are the best? Now it's like, hey, I'm writing a post about this and this. Tell me the 10 best hashtags to use for a post like that.
Yep.
Boom. Like, I mean, it's taken a lot of the hard, the grunt work, if you will, and made it right at your fingertips. So I think there's very practical things like that. That's a very practical thing. Somebody, if they're doing posting on Instagram and TikTok and things like that they could use. They could say, hey, here's the nature of my post. Tell me the 5 best hashtags to use for it. Because now you don't want to flood the post with too many hashtags, because they actually frown upon that. So you want to hit it with 3 to 5 really powerful hashtags that are going to get you the most amount of traction based on, what hashtags can bring. So asking, take your post, throw it into AI and say, can you tell me the 5 best hashtags to use for this post?
Yeah.
I mean, that's a really practical, begin using it this afternoon tip.
Yeah, absolutely.
With AI.
So I know and I don't want to take up all of your time. And one of the things that I've talked to a lot of customers over the last weekend when I was at the conference, and a lot more, they're a lot, I don't want to say older, but just a lot of them with having a business, especially in the window tint industry. A lot of them are business focused. They have a skill. They do that skill And sometimes the marketing thing is secondary or not even top of mind. And I think it's important to realize, one, it's going to be vital to your company's business, and it's something that you should be focusing on. And I guess this kind of brings me to today's high traffic idea, as far as, are there any quick, easy, efficient things that people can do that aren't, and maybe they are, because one of the things we mentioned before being a little time consuming. How can you grow your following? Obviously, new business is important to kind of grow and get bigger. A lot of times we hear customers like the repeat business is good, but obviously you need new business to grow. Are there any high traffic ideas that you've kind of come across that will help some of these companies maybe gain a bigger following kind of in the short term that they can try to do?
Well, I'll start by something to absolutely not do. Do not pay for followers. Do not go into one of these things that says, hey, give us $500 and we'll give you 50,000 followers on Instagram. Or that is not what you want to do. Those are bots that they're going to put in there. It's actually going to end up hurting you more in the long run than doing that. The other thing is, instead of being so concerned with the actual number, be concerned with having followers that are actually interested and engaged in your business. So a couple different ideas. One, I think it all starts and ends with creating content that people are interested in. Create content that people want to engage in. Ask people questions, things like that. Figure out ways to get content such that people are actually going to be able to respond to it. Because if you can't do that, nobody's going to follow your page if you can't even get them to like a post. I mean, the first thing you got to do is get the thing. One quick tip I'll give you that a lot of people overlook is, if you've got a pretty active social media and people do like your posts and things like that, whether it's pictures of projects you've done or something like that, you can log into your post or your company page, go to those posts, and if you click on the people that have liked the post or loved the post or whatever, it gives you the opportunity to invite all those people that are not already following your page to follow your page. Unfortunately, it's a manual process. You've got to go there and you've got to click invite next to every one of those people to invite them to your page. But I just worked with a page in the last 2 months that went from having about 7,500 followers to having 15,000 followers. And they're all in the last 60 days, and they're all legitimate because they were all based on people that had liked their posts.
I think I can kind of show this with one of our customers as you keep going. Sorry to interrupt.
They basically, you have to make a habit of going in to your posts. And then these are all the people that have liked the post. I'm looking at your thing right now. I actually feel like you aren't logged in as the page.
No, I am
logged in as the page.
I was. So let's see. I might have already.
Is it? It only works on their posts.
Oh, okay. This should be. Oh, wait. I got to go to their page. Apologies.
Yeah,
everybody.
there you go. There you go. I was like, that doesn't look right. So.
Should be. So we'll scroll down a bit. So then, yeah. So you're talking about going here.
So click that. Go and then see right there. They can go through and just scroll down and invite all those people to like their page. Those are people that have already liked their post, so they know that those people are somewhat engaged with their brand. They've liked their post, so they just go into their page and go to where those people have liked their post and then click on that, and it will allow you one at a time to invite those people to like your page. Now, those aren't fake likes. Those aren't buying likes. It's not hacking likes. Those are people that have already crossed the threshold of interacting with your page. You're just saying, hey, how can I go in there and take people that are already engaging with my page and inviting them to actually follow my page and like my page? That technique you're showing right now while we're talking is what allowed me to help one client to go from 7,500 followers on Facebook at the end of November to over 15,000 as of today.
That's
doing
huge.
Nothing different. They didn't pay for any likes. They didn't do anything. All they did was take the posts they were already making and consistently went in and invited everybody that liked their posts to follow their page, and have doubled the number of people who are following their page in 60 days. And now what's happening is it begins to be this circle that begins to go faster and faster, because now when they post something, now there's 15,000 people that follow their page that see that post instead of 75. So now their posts are getting more engagement, which in turn then, like, it just is like, it starts to pick up momentum.
Yeah, the algorithm is going to see all of those people, more people liking this page, so it's going to want to share that out to the non-followers, especially if it's video stuff. And
that's
so
something, like I said, that's super simple that anybody can do. Unfortunately, I've looked. I have not found an automated way to do that.
I have not.
But if you go in and like daily and just say, okay, I made a post today or whatever, 75 people liked my post, and you go in and do that, some of them you'll see already follow your page or you've already invited, and maybe out of 75 people that liked it, 15 of them haven't followed your page yet, so you'll get a chance to invite it. The next day, it's a numbers game. You do that consistently over a bunch of days. If you invite 15 people, maybe all 15 don't accept, but 4 of them do. The next day, you invite 20 people, maybe 7 of them do. And you just see your follower count continuing to go up. And then again, the best part about that is then more people are actually seeing your posts because more people are following your page. So that's a really simple thing that I don't hear a lot of people doing that, but you know, I think it's something to consider. It only works on Facebook, unfortunately. It doesn't work on Instagram, doesn't work on TikTok, but on Facebook's actually getting a lot of play right now. A lot of people are sleeping on Facebook. Facebook's actually getting a lot of, Meta's actually really encouraging people to post and to create new content on Facebook. So, if you moved away from Facebook to primarily focus on Instagram and TikTok several years ago, when those were the new things that were trending, maybe give Facebook another look again, because I think you might find that in some cases you might even get more traction on Facebook than you are on some of the other platforms.
No, I totally agree. I think it's the second biggest platform. I think YouTube has kind of surpassed it as far as active users, but the fact that Facebook has got users, as I tell a lot of my customers too, like there's typically people with bigger budgets that have more disposable income. So if you're looking to get in front of those people, whether it's for tint jobs or for other services and different things, utilize Facebook. It's super important. And if you've ignored it, your competitors are there. And this is something where it's not a paid ad. It's not, like you said, you're not paying for followers. It's something simple that can kind of grow that following. Yeah. To me, that's super important to any kind of business owner that's looking to grow their following.
And depending on like who your customer is, the client I was telling you about that we did this with the followers, I looked at the demo of the people that are now following their page. Like 80% of the people that are following their page are between 26 and 56 years old. Those people tend to now be out in the workforce making a little bit of money. So if you're trying to sell somebody something where some of them might go viral on TikTok, the question is, are the people that are actually spending money with you on TikTok? Yep. So I like to say sometimes we get caught up with vanity metrics. Like, hey, I had a post that went viral on TikTok and 1 million people saw the post. Well, how many of those 1 million people are potential customers of your company? Where I feel like with Facebook, like I said, sometimes, again, I'd rather have 1,000 followers that are engaged and talking to people and spending money with me than having, 50,000 followers that are just, they're never going to spend any money with me. The other thing you could do, a lot of people don't know, like Reels is definitely where you get a lot of activity, because you not only reach the people that follow you, you reach other people with Reels. Well, Facebook now has a very robust Reels program. And I always say to people too, here's another little hack. Facebook loves when you post natively to Facebook. So, versus what I mean by that is versus posting a reel on Instagram and sharing it on Facebook, next time you have a reel, do it that way one time, and then the next reel you have, post it to Instagram, and then go over to Facebook and natively post the reel to Facebook as well. And I think you're going to find that you get better engagement, better views, better when you post it natively to Facebook. So yeah, it takes a little bit more time and it's not quite as convenient, but it's toggling over that share to Facebook on your Instagram. But I think, again, if the name of the game is to get engagement and to get people actually interacting with your posts, taking the extra couple minutes to do that, I think matters. But again, I mean, everybody's only got so many hours in the day. That's why sometimes it makes sense to work with a marketing agency like Eye Magnet or some of the other good ones that are out there, because, this is what we do every day. We sit there and look for these things and look for ways to, we look at the difference in engagement between posting natively and posting and sharing from another platform and things like that. Things that a lot of times if somebody's running their business, they don't have time to do all those things. So again, this is not, a big thing to tell people to come to Eye Magnet or anything like that. It's just to say sometimes, it makes sense to work with somebody that lives this stuff day in and day out. Because even if you live it day in and day out, it's hard to keep up on how fast everything's changing, let alone running a business and trying to keep up with how fast everything is changing.
Absolutely. No, I can't argue with anything you said either. So these were a lot of amazing, great insights. I really appreciate you coming on and sharing them all with me. And again, make sure you guys check out Window Film Pros. Obviously, check out Eye Magnet. I'll let you, any other parting words, anything else that you want to make?
If you want to put it in the comments or the notes, windowfilmpros.com/register will give you all the information about the program we talked about earlier and how to sign your company up. Again, no hard push for that, but if you want to find out more about it, reach out to me directly or go to windowfilmpros.com/register. As far as parting comments, I would just say, if you're one of those people that doesn't like to adapt to technology because you're like, hey, it's a hassle and, I'm just going to ignore it or whatever, I would urge you to not do that with AI. I mean, social media was an earthquake size shift in the way businesses were done, and Facebook and all these other things now that a lot of people ignored in the beginning. Now it'd be hard to find a business that's not active on social media, because I think everybody understands. My personal opinion is the shift between no social media and social media is going to look small compared to how much AI is going to shift things. It is going to change. I have two kids, one in college, second year in college, and one is senior in high school. And I talk to them more about thinking about, hey, how AI may change the field they're considering going into than I do about, because I'm like, you're making a mistake if you go into a field and base it on the way that field has been for the last 20 years. Because I can promise you, I don't know exactly what it's going to look like, but it is going to change. My daughter's going into architecture and city planning. And I said to her, where a big architecture firm used to have, a pit of cubicles with 20 junior architects doing drawings and things like that, that's going to now be 1 or 2 junior architects using AI to do the work of 20 junior architects. You better be one of those 2 people that is super familiar with AI and on top of your AI game, because it's just going to happen. You're going to go from 20 junior architects to 2 junior architects. The question is, how do you there's still going to be a job. The question is, how do you make yourself one of those 2?
Yep.
And the way I think is just to be well-versed in how AI is working and how it's changing. And I think, whether you're an older guy like me or whatever, I think that, you ignoring it, I think, is a huge mistake. Ignoring it is a huge mistake.
Completely agree. Anybody that ignored the internet to start from not implementing and having a website, I think they got left in the dust. Same thing with social media. And I think it's absolutely true.
Those things are small compared to what's going to happen with AI.
Yeah. Just the way that AI is making things easier for everybody to reach, the fact that we're such a global kind of economy and the infrastructure to be able to, if you have a particular thing, you can sell to anybody in the world if they've got a smartphone. So absolutely.
Well, even like my son is going to college for aircraft maintenance. And I said to him, you would think that that's going to be a relatively, say, AI is not going to go out on the flight line and fix a jet or something like that. But I said where AI is going to change it is when I used to work on F-18s in the Navy, a lot of it was based on repetition and just getting to the point where you've done things so many times. When the jet is doing a certain thing, I know that this is what's probably wrong and fixing it. Now, the most junior tech is going to be able to be like, this is what the jet's doing, feed that into an AI type of system, and it come back and be like, it's 95% likely that it's this. Change this out. So the value of an old salt like me in the Navy that was like, I know if the jet's doing this, take out that box and put, do that. Like, now everybody's going to be that smart. Yeah. Like day one, they're going to be day one, they're going to be as smart as the smartest guy.
Yeah. Or your competitor is going to be the one that's smarter if you're not utilizing all of these tools that we're hoping that you guys kind of take advantage of and think about, because if you're not, you're going to get left in the dust. I think that's the kind of the biggest takeaway from this, is realizing if you don't evolve, you're going to die. I think that's kind of the key.
Yeah. So I think that we see that. And I'll go with that. I think we see that time and time again in our agency world when somebody approaches us to help them with marketing. And a lot of times they've built a great business over the course of a couple decades. And I've heard this story so many times. It's sad that they're like, I don't understand how the guy across town that just opened up 18 months ago is having my lunch. I've been here for 25 years. I've been like a staple in this community. And this guy is like, and it's like, but you haven't adapted. You're not using any of the newest tools. You're not using social media. You're not doing anything. You've just relied on the way you've done things for the last 25 years. This guy came in 18 months ago and is using all the tools.
Yep.
And now he's eating your lunch in 18 months. And, you're behind now. You now are playing catch up with that kid that's just been there for 18 months.
Yep.
And so I think that that's the thing, it's like, it's a matter of, in some cases, a matter of survival. If you don't do it, believe it, that if you don't do it, your competitor's going to, and then you're going to be on the bad side of that equation.
Absolutely. Well, thank you. Thank you so much for sharing all these great ideas. And once again, I'm Ronnie West. He's Patric Fransko. This has been High Traffic Ideas. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks. Take care.